Hello, I'm meteorologist Brad Warner from Region Weather Live, your YouTube source for weather across the Dakotas and Minnesota. Winter is almost here. It is coming. So in this video, I'm going to break down the timing one more time just to give everybody an update on what it's looking like for timing. And then I've got a couple of graphics towards the end just to give you a better feel for the timing and severity and who's going to have the biggest impacts out of the storm. So stick around and let's get to it. So I've got this split screen going on just so on one side you can see when the precip is going to fall, and then on the other side when the stronger winds are going to kind of coincide with some of that heavier snowfall and maybe some of that freezing rain as well. And so we're going to start off here 6 a.m. Wednesday morning, and we've got a little bit of freezing drizzle, maybe some sleet in through here to start off our morning hours. And then on the other end, maybe just a little bit of breezy winds that coincide with that to get our Wednesday morning rolling. And then as we slide both sides to right around noontime on Wednesday, we can see how some of that freezing drizzle kind of starts to make its way a little bit more into eastern and northwestern parts of Minnesota. Again, some of that breezy winds, those windier conditions, just not, nothing terrible, but just some gusts associated along with it. And then as we get into 6 p.m. Wednesday evening, we can see how things begin to increase and all that moisture really begins to take hold, and the storm starts to pull out of the Rockies. And things really start to get going Wednesday evening at this point. In fact, if we move this along to midnight on both sides of the screen here, we see that the freezing drizzle really turns into more of a scattered rain event by this point as the system really begins to ramp up. And then, of course, you got the snow, some of the heavier snow now in through north central parts of South Dakota, possibly across western parts of South Dakota as well. Meanwhile, the gustier winds remain out into eastern parts of North Dakota in particular. So as some of this freezing rain and sleet kind of take hold early into the nighttime hours, Wednesday night, or early parts of the morning, Thursday morning, we're going to start to see some problems already. And so moving along to Thursday morning, right around 6 a.m., we've got that heavy snow now making it into the Red River Valley and down across north central parts of South Dakota and across much of central parts of North Dakota as well. And then on the wind side, as we move that over to the 6 a.m. time frame on Thursday, again, most of that stronger winds kind of remaining central eastern parts of North Dakota, northern parts of Minnesota as well. These are the strong southerly winds out ahead of the cold front. You can see where that low is at 6 a.m. already. So we're talking about the possibility of severe weather. This is moving through Minnesota very quickly. So it's looking like the chances of severe weather is going to be greatly diminished compared to what we were thinking earlier. In fact, if we move this to around noon on Thursday, on both sides, where we move along the winds and the precipitation, that cold front by this point, or right around noon, is now in the eastern part of Minnesota already. So it's not even really allowed much of that daytime heating to take place. Now you're seeing a few storms start to develop. So there might be still just the slight possibility of a few storms, maybe in southeastern parts of Minnesota. But boy, I tell you, given the timing and how things are moving, it's looking like that possibility of severe weather is probably more going to move into Wisconsin. Now, otherwise, right around noon Thursday, look at this big area that could be heavy snow at this point. And then you've got the freezing precip across northwest and northern parts of Minnesota. And unfortunately, look at the winds at that time where we're gusting over 40 miles per hour across much of that same area. So again, Thursday, right around noontime, this thing is cranking. And we're probably going to be talking about blizzard conditions by this time. So we move this along to 6 p.m. on Thursday evening, and some of the snow begins to wind down a little bit further to the west, but you still got probably some light to moderate snows up across the north, and you're still dealing with some pretty decent winds up there as well. So the low visibilities is going to continue into the evening hours Thursday evening. However, notice the other thing is the sleet and the freezing freezing rain pretty much is gone by that point. By this point in the storm on Thursday evening at 6 p.m., most of that cold air has now made its way in behind it, and so everything has now turned over to snow. Then once we get to midnight Thursday night, really early Friday morning, that snow again begins to taper from west to east. We got mostly some light snow across the north, maybe some moderate left up in the northeastern parts of Minnesota. And then the wind's still hanging on, however, across Red River Valley and northwestern parts of Minnesota. But by 6 a.m. on Friday morning, most of that snow now has moved out. We're probably going to be left with just some scattered light activity across the far northeastern parts of Minnesota. And even the winds by this point on Friday are just, we're seeing some gusts at 30, maybe 35 up and down the valley. We're going to probably have to take a little closer look at that as we get closer, because sometimes given these storms as they come down onto the valley, they get a little stronger. So we'll see if as we get closer, maybe those winds will be gusting just a little bit more. But by Friday morning, it looks like most of the nastier stuff has now moved off to the east. And so now we get into the graphics that I made. In the first one that I've got, we go back to the accumulations, and you notice here in the purple, I've kind of bumped things up once again. I had it down, now I've got it back up to that 8 to 15 inch mark. But either way, any of you guys basically from the yellow to the purple in through here, you're going to be dealing with a lot of snow. And in fact, I even took this purple area and expanded it a little bit back to the west central parts of North Dakota as well. One other thing to note is sort of the difference between the 8 to 15 and even the trace to 2 inch mark here in the blue. It's quite narrow in through here. So if we get a shift of that low either further to the southeast or further to the north and west, that's going to shift obviously those areas just a little bit. And so you guys in through here that I've kind of got the squiggly lines, that means you guys in through there could see a big difference in just a little shift in the track. So just keep that in mind, that you're not completely out of the woods, but maybe it could actually wind up being a little better. But as it stands right now, this is kind of where I'm thinking the snowfall will occur. And then of course, I've got this area of red down here just to cover the possibility of some severe weather yet on Thursday. But like I mentioned before, I think that chance is beginning to diminish the way things are panning out with the models. Now, a graphic that I haven't shown you yet is the amount of freezing rain and sleet that's going to be expected. So look at these areas in yellow in through here. We're looking at anywhere from 1/10 of an inch to 1/4 inch of freezing precipitation. So freezing rain, sleet, maybe some drizzle in with that out ahead of all this. So you guys in that yellow area and even across the north shore of Lake Superior, you might get a little bit of enhancement in through there as well. So you guys in yellow are looking like you're going to have some treacherous roads, not to mention that some of you guys are going to be getting some snow on top of that after the freezing rain. So roads are going to be slick. We're probably going to be talking about some areas maybe losing power as we see some tree branches down. And then these areas in the pink here are looking like at least a trace to 1/10 of an inch of freezing precip there as well. But it doesn't take much to really mess up the roads. This is also a different one that I haven't shown yet, just to give you an idea of who's got the greatest impact out of this storm. And these areas in red here are looking like you've got the best chance for seeing that heavy snow along with the winds. So we're looking at the visibilities near zero at times. So you probably got the best chance for seeing blizzard type conditions in through there. The areas in orange are more moderate, and I kind of took it down to the south and west across portions of South Dakota just to basically take into account that freezing rain and that sleet that's going to occur down there. That's really going to mess up travel for you guys across central parts of South Dakota. And then obviously the remaining areas just dealing with all that snow, and even some areas dealing with some of the winds on top of it. So all you guys basically in the red and the orange, we're looking, you've got the biggest potential impact, and where roads are going to be nasty, visibility is going to be down. It's just not looking good, not really looking great for these areas. And then this last one just kind of gives you an idea of when the storm will impact your area. So as we look at this yellow area, you're going to be affected by this storm before midnight Wednesday night. So some of that takes into account some of that freezing drizzle that might occur later in the day on Tuesday already. And then as you get into the morning hours and that low pressure begins to move north, by 6 a.m. Thursday morning, all you guys here in Orange will begin to experience the heavier snowfall and the sleet and all that other kind of fun stuff. And then for those of you across northern parts of North Dakota, far northwestern Minnesota, it's looking like closer to noon. And then by 6 p.m. Thursday evening, you areas in the blue here up in the northeastern parts of Minnesota, you guys will be well into the storm by that point as well. So a couple of different graphics there to take a look at, things I haven't really done before. It took me a little bit and the video's out a little later because of it, but let me know what you think in the comments down below. Let me know which one you liked or which you found was more really useful to you, and I'll make sure to keep doing those as the winter goes along. Now, if you haven't done so already, hit the subscribe button down below, hit the bell button as well. That way you know anytime I've uploaded a video to keep you informed on the latest updates with this winter storm. Not to mention that as things break, we'll try to go on live if there is any severe weather Thursday, and we'll probably have some webcams and some radars going as the winter storm develops as well. So make sure you subscribe so that you know when we are on. Also, just do me a favor and hit the thumbs up button. That helps this channel get recognized. It really could use more views out of here, and obviously that would help others know what is going on who maybe don't have the news or have cable. This is another way for them to find weather information. So just even hitting that thumbs up button helps me as well. So, all right, everybody, for Region Weather Live, I am meteorologist Brad Warner, and we'll see you tomorrow.